on Monday, representatives from Walmart, Target, and Home Depot met with the president, warning there could soon be empty store shelves in the U.S. The number of cargo ships from China carrying everything from clothes to household goods was down 35% compared to the same week last year.
If it's not possible, if we're so far apart that this is not going to happen, then I think the president's probably at a point where he's going to say, well, we're done.
In this video, we're going to look at the ripple effects of escalating tariffs and what it means for store shelves in the weeks ahead, why America's food safety system may be more fragile than we think, and how the United States appears to be stepping away from global leadership, particularly in the Ukraine conflict, at a time when China and Russia, they're growing bolder. As trade routes shift, alliances realign, and old safeguards disappear, what does this mean for those of us trying to stay ahead of these changes that will impact our lives? I'm going to tell you what I'm doing and what your next step should be, what to buy, what to watch for, and what to brace for. I'll also tell you how to enter this week's giveaway and announce last week's winner, so stick around for that. All right, let's go ahead and dive in. If you're new to this channel, my name is Chris, and on this channel we discuss emergency preparedness, aka prepping. Every week we break down recent events and explore what they mean for preparedness, what we should be doing now to become more self-reliant, more secure, and more resilient in the face of instability. These videos are about clarity, not about panic, and we're going to take a look at the headlines that you need to know and what they mean for us. So let's jump in. Tariff fallout. Retailers are sounding the alarm over the imminent risk of empty store shelves due to the escalating impact of President Trump's tariff policies. Major chains like Walmart, Target, and Home Depot, they privately warned the administration that continued tariffs could disrupt supply chains, leading to product shortages and price hikes just within a few weeks. Now, despite efforts to stockpile inventory, experts predict a significant drop in imports, with the National Retail Federation conservatively forecasting a 15% decline in inbound cargo through the end of this year. Now, this situation is compounded by increased costs from tariffs on goods from China, Canada, and Mexico, affecting a wide range of products from electronics to groceries. And as retailers grapple with these challenges, consumers may soon face higher prices and limited product availability. There's been some retreating signal regarding the tariffs, but then that retreat has been rescinded. Many of the key tariffs are still in place, and many more tariffs are still in the works, like the de minimis tariff that would apply to all shipments under $800 in value. No official trade deals have been made or announced between the United States and China or the rest of Asia. President Trump is waiting for President Xi Jinping to negotiate, but there's no indication that he's willing to do so at this time. Currently, President Xi is making trade deals with the rest of the world. Now, during this same turbulent period of on and off again applied tariffs, the postponed tariffs, China has inked new trade deals with our allies. Notably, in late March, China, Japan, and South Korea agreed to reinvigorate negotiations on a trilateral free trade agreement between them. The presidents of China and Brazil have signaled trade and development agreements, and while no formal agreement has been made, shipping volumes between Mexico and China have surged over 20%, with some ports in Mexico reporting a 200% increase in container volume. Absent from all these new deals between countries are American imports or exports. The United States isn't even at the table, mainly because the tariffs have made it too difficult for countries to import or export to the United States. Now, I've said it before on this channel, trade flows along the easiest routes. So let's walk through what's happening here a bit. First, a tariff is announced. Retailers and manufacturers in the United States have a couple of choices. They can either try to rush orders for inventory or hope for the best. And if they have a good inventory of whatever they're importing, they could choose to ride it out, but no new product is probably coming in to replenish their dwindling inventory. Now, even if the supply on hand is in a good place, prices, they're going to jump because no new stock is being imported. And we're not just talking about ready-to-made and packaged products for the store shelf here. It may be the packaging for products made here, raw materials or ingredients for products made here, or parts to complete the manufacturing process. All of that has to be assessed when the tariff is announced, when it's implemented, when it's scaled back or postponed, and when the counter tariffs are established. Every moment along the way is an opportunity for manufacturers and retailers to raise prices in anticipation of the future or in dealing with the current realities. If it were just prices, well, that could be written off as the necessary pain that we were warned about, but this has risen to a much higher level. Hapag-Lloyd, a major global shipping company, has reported that 30% of its shipments from China to the United States have been canceled due to the escalating tariffs. This has prompted shifting shipping demand towards Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And the executive director of the Port of Los Angeles has projected a potential decline in imports by at least 10% in the second half of 2025, attributing this to companies pausing orders in response to increased tariffs on Chinese goods. Now, China has ceased placing orders for U.S. corn and soybeans, and China previously imported 54% of all the soybeans grown here in the United States. China has put a complete freeze on all exports to the United States of rare earth elements that the United States technology and defense industries rely on. Major U.S. retailers, including Amazon and Walmart, have canceled orders from Chinese suppliers. And the increased tariffs have made it economically unfeasible to maintain previous order volumes. Beyond higher prices, we have moved into the real possibility of product scarcity. Experts are warning that we're just mere weeks away from COVID-style empty shelves at retailers nationwide. If you want to know some of the specific shortages that we're looking at, I'm going to link to our previous video on this at the end of the video. But understand, this is moving far beyond the point of just higher prices and a few empty shelves. The United States is increasingly being left out of major global trade conversations, and we're now watching as countries begin making strategic deals that bypass the United States dollar altogether. BRICS, the economic alliance originally made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has recently expanded to include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, the UAE, and Indonesia, with 23 additional countries formally applying to join. This alliance now represents nearly half of the world's population and over 40% of the global GDP by purchasing power, and it's explicitly pushing for a new global order not centered around the United States dollar. Meanwhile, the dollar itself has seen a sharp decline in recent months, reversing the gains it made after Trump's 2024 election win, due to the increasingly erratic trade policy, a softening economy, and political attacks on the Federal Reserve. And while it's unlikely to lose its reserve currency status overnight, this volatility has shaken global confidence and sparked a serious conversation about long-term alternatives to the dollar. Clearly, the United States is no longer in the limelight of the center stage. She's moving into the shadows of the wings. So what does this mean to us? If you're already preparing, this is your signal to go a little deeper and rely less on the unstable supply chain. At this point, the signs are everywhere, from canceled overseas orders to declining port volumes and major retailers warning about imminent shortages. And these are not just temporary price hikes. We're staring down the real possibility of widespread product scarcity. My encouragement is this: take this time to calmly but decisively audit what you have and what you think you might soon need. Start sourcing locally where you can: farmers markets, regional producers, and independent retailers. Reducing your dependency on imported goods will help you stay ahead of the curve if things tighten even more. You need to lean into this moment as a chance to simplify and be intentional. Stock up on items you know you're going to need this year, especially anything imported or complex to replace, like car parts, filters, electronics, tools, or durable clothing. I know that feels like everything, but I would encourage you to focus on what you think you'll need soon. Take advantage of any deals now, like that phone upgrade or the appliance that you've been putting off. If it's something that's already hard to find or made overseas, it may not be available later, or it might cost double. And most importantly, don't panic. Manufacturers that are raising prices based on what they anticipate, and you can be just as smart. Assess your own inventory, plan ahead, and adjust calmly. Spartan times call for strategic thinking, not fear. So what do you think? Where are you feeling the impact of the tariff wars, or are you not feeling them at all? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks to CoPure for sponsoring this YouTube ad-free video. Up to 95 million Americans are exposed to PFAS, dangerous industrial chemicals that leach into our water supply. They're called forever chemicals because they don't break down in the environment or the human body, and they've been linked to cancer, hormonal issues, and developmental problems. If you're still drinking straight from the tap, it's worth a second thought. I've got a family to protect, and I'm not taking chances. That's why we use CoPure. It's a countertop water purification system that needs no plumbing, no insulation, and no tools. Just drop in the filters, plug it in, and fill the back reservoir with sink water. From there, its 4-stage system removes up to 99.9% of heavy metals, PFAS, chlorine, lead, and even microplastics. It also remineralizes and balances your water's pH with real-time digital purity readouts and hot or cold water on demand. We use it daily, and I don't drink a glass of water at home unless it's been through the CoPure. Check it out and get $200 off at copure.com/cityprepping. The link's in the description and pinned comment below. Food safety. There are many processes we sort of take for granted. They're vital, but they happen somewhere else and solve a problem that was discovered long ago. Because of that, it's sometimes hard for us to correlate how the removal of these processes today can impact our future. That's where we are right now with food safety, and it's vital that you understand this because the reason we're not getting ill or even dying from food in our food supply chain often comes down to safety inspections, product recalls, and consumer warnings. It's important that you know about the potential plastic parts in your meat stick, your bratwurst, your sausages, or even the listeria in your bag salad, or the salmonella or E. coli in your frozen chicken, peanut butter, milk, or pre-cut fruit. Because without that awareness, you're left vulnerable in a system that increasingly relies on you to protect yourself. And we're not simply referencing some future state or issuing some warning about food safety in the future. This past January, the administration abruptly fired at least a dozen inspectors generals, including those overseeing key food and agricultural agencies. Although Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. claimed FDA safety inspectors wouldn't be affected by recent job cuts, the loss of key support staff has severely disrupted operations, prompting the agency to hire contractors to maintain critical oversight amid ongoing inspection challenges and staffing shortages. That person on the ground who was checking that gauge to make sure the pasteurization temperature was where it should be, well, they may not be there anymore. And there's no denying that many necessary inspections aren't being made, and there was already a problem before these cuts. Even before the recent government downsizing, food safety systems were showing serious cracks. None more alarming than the E. coli outbreak linked to romaine lettuce last November that sickened people in at least 15 states. Despite 89 confirmed cases, over a third of which required hospitalization, including a 9-year-old boy who nearly died and one fatality, the FDA closed the investigation without publicly naming the responsible companies. Internal reports show the agency knew the lettuce came from a single processor, yet declined to alert the public because the contaminated products were no longer on store shelves. But food safety advocates argue this lack of transparency denies consumers vital information, especially if they had frozen the tainted food or bought from the same source again, and erodes the accountability for companies involved. Now, with critical FDA communication and inspection staff laid off and new safety tracking rules delayed, our ability to prevent or even properly respond to future outbreaks is severely diminished. So what does this mean to us? Now, while I don't think we're going to overnight return to a time when eating spoiled food was normal, I do have concerns about the lapse in safety inspections and information. A cornerstone of prepping and self-sufficiency is getting control of your food resources and stockpiling them through periods of scarcity. This insulates you from food shortages or price increases, but it also keeps you alive because the food you have on your shelves has had long enough in the open market that you will hopefully hear of any mass sicknesses caused by consuming it or any recalls. The food you grow or locally source is less likely to contain harmful pathogens, pesticides, or any of the other things that we passively assume are being tested for at the farm or factory. The food that you wash and prepare or preserve yourself is going to be thoughtfully inspected, clean, and will be safer for you to store and consume. So these food safety lapses now and possibly increasing in the future, they should not scare you. They should strengthen your commitment and resolve to control your personal food supply better. Storing, sourcing, preparing, cooking, even growing your own food, these are all some of the things that we teach people who want to become more self-sufficient, more stable with their food supply, more secure against the chaos of disruptions and outbreaks. So what do you think? What's that vital source that you're concerned about, and what are you doing or planning to do to secure it in the future? Let us know in the comments below. Ukraine. The United States is signaling a dramatic retreat from its role in mediating peace between Ukraine and Russia, a stark departure from previous diplomatic commitments. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio recently confirmed that Washington may abandon peace negotiations within days if no tangible progress is made, making it clear that it's not our war and that the United States has other priorities to focus on. Now, this declaration underscores a larger shift. America is stepping back, signaling its diminished global influence while others step into the void. And for those who hope the new U.S. administration could swiftly broker an end to the war, that prospect is looking increasingly impossible. As Washington pulls away, China has moved decisively to strengthen its alliance with Russia, supplying key military components and intelligence while reaping economic benefits through discounted oil and gas deals. Meanwhile, Europe is hardening its stance, rejecting concessions to Moscow and doubling down on support for Kiev. Now, this power realignment is reshaping the global order. For decades, the United States wielded influence in both trade and diplomacy, but now it's voluntarily isolating itself. And while new agreements and alliances merge, America is withdrawing from the conversation entirely. Even in negotiations over Ukraine's territorial concessions, the United States appears willing to recognize Russia's claims to Crimea and occupied regions, a stance sharply opposed by European leaders who refuse to legitimize Moscow's aggression. The consequences, they are clear. Without U.S. mediation, the likelihood of escalation grows, and Washington's ability to steer conflicts toward resolution is fading. China's involvement only deepens the divide, fueling Russia's military with ammunition, microchips, and explosives, despite prior denials of direct support. European nations left to manage the conflict, they're beginning to ramp up defenses, intercepting Russian aircraft near NATO space, and preparing for worst-case scenarios. As the current administration distances itself from Zelensky and entertains deals that favor Russia, Ukraine faces an increasingly uncertain future. Kiev is scrambling to secure backing by leveraging China's involvement, attempting to shift U.S. priorities toward countering Beijing rather than abandoning Ukraine entirely. But if Washington continues withdrawing from diplomacy, leaving NATO as the sole contaminant force, the world may be hurtling toward prolonged proxy battles or something far worse. So what does this mean to us? For those of us focused on preparedness and self-sufficiency, this shift is a wake-up call to reassess risk and resilience at every level. With the United States stepping back from global diplomacy, the safety net that once helped contain conflict is beginning to fray. Power blocks are shifting, old alliances are weakening, and emerging coalitions, particularly China and Russia, are acting with greater boldness, often unchecked. That raises the risk of economic disruption, cyber attacks, supply chain instability, and ripple effects that could directly impact everyday life. And this is not about fear, it's about staying ahead of change. You can expect geopolitical tensions to drive energy price swings, import disruptions, and food shortages. Now is the time to focus on energy independence, food security, and local resilience. Stock what you can't easily replace, grow what you can, and strengthen supply alternatives. Self-sufficiency has always been valuable. In this tectonic shifting and reshuffling of global priorities and alliances, self-sufficiency will become essential. The time to take action for your stable future is right now. So what do you think? Is America's withdrawal from the global stage a good thing? Can we go it alone without trade partners and allies, or are we looking at a rising global threat in the future? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Giveaway. This week's winner is going to receive an elite gourmet food dehydrator to help you take control of your food security. All you have to do to participate in the giveaway is just simply comment on this video, give it a thumbs up, and complete the giveaway form linked in the description section below. Giving the thumbs up for this video allows us to spread the prepping message further. Also, you have to complete the form to be eligible, as that's how we randomly pick a winner and contact you. This information is only accessible to our team. Using a random selection tool, we'll choose a winner from the entrance and reach out to you via the email that you provided on the submitted form. So congrats to our last giveaway winner for the Emergency Weather Radio, Timothy Core. We'll reach out to you to get that sent right away. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when the world seems to be changing faster than we can process. But remember this, preparedness, it's not about perfection, it's about progression. Every small step that you take today, it strengthens your future tomorrow. Every shelf that you stock, every skill that you learn, every connection that you build in your community, it moves you from uncertainty towards stability. And you don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep moving forward one choice at a time. But don't let fear freeze you. Let it fuel wise action. And here's the thing, you're not powerless. You are capable, you are alert, and you're not alone. In this world that we live in, where it just seems like things are pulling us at 100 different directions every day, choosing self-reliance is an act of clarity and courage. Let me repeat that. Choosing self-reliance is an act of clarity and courage. It takes the uncertainty and it pushes all away the noise, and it allows us to focus in on what's important. And it's not easy sometimes to step up to the plate and do these things. And I'll just pause here for a moment in the video to tell you on a personal level, it's something that I do fight with. It's easier for me to, and again, I'm just being 100% transparent here with you. It's easier to come in here in the studio where everything's polished, I hit a few buttons, and I set up what I want to say for this video, and I record. And it's easy. And I think it's important to do because I know a lot of people in this community, they want to know what's happening in the world. I hope that we present information in a clear, unbiased way that's actionable. But I'm telling you this because it would be easy for me to just crank out videos like this every day. And I'll be honest with you. Since I've purchased this land and I've sectioned off the 3,000 square feet that I've been developing, it takes a lot of work. Just maintaining everything here, keeping things going. It takes action. And it's easier for me, my personality, and I said this a second ago, just being honest, it's easier for me to sometimes step back and just, administrate and just pass off work to team members. But getting out and pushing myself and doing the things that need to be done to build the systems, build my self-reliance systems that I've been working on, the gardening, the rain harvesting, the chickens, it's not easy. And I find sometimes that it's frustrating because things don't always go right. And I'm the kind of person, I like perfection. I like things to go a certain way. But I'm telling you all this for one reason. It's this. I've had to push myself more and more over the last several months because, like all of us, I see the future and I can't become complacent. So my encouragement is this. Just keep learning, keep preparing, and keep showing up. Not just for yourself, but for those around you who may need a steady hand when the winds pick up. And I've got a family, and I can't choose complacency at this time. So my encouragement is this. Don't allow yourself to get caught up in the fear and the uncertainty. You've got this. And I'll finish by saying this. If you're ready to go deeper, we're going to be launching a brand new course next week. And it shows you how to build a self-sufficient lifestyle right where you are, no matter the size of your yard or your skill level. It's full of actionable steps, simple wins, and practical systems. And if you want early access and a special launch price, I would encourage you to sign up for our newsletter below. We're going to send out an email not this Saturday, but the following, and it's going to have a special link for those that are on our newsletter. And the link is in the description and pinned comment section below. All right, I'm going to post a couple of videos here on the side of the screen I want you to check out. The first is on 10 specific items and categories we're pretty certain are going to be in short supply as early as next month. The other is 6 fears I've identified that hold people back from prepping and how I personally overcame them. I always say the best time to prepare was yesterday, but the next best time is today. So start where you're at and start now. As always, stay safe out there.